Hey, everybody. It is TGIF. Thanks for joining me, Buffy, your rate slayer. It's the first episode of our July 2022 weekly Market Insight series, which is coming directly from our capital markets trading desk right here at SunWest Mortgage Company, Incorporated. Let's dive into the world of news and see what has happened this week, shall we? As the U.S. markets returned after the Independence Day holiday, a recession shock began for the markets, just after it faced the worst first half for Wall Street in more than 50 years. The prospects for a recession were induced after the data showed that the personal spending for May rose 0.2%, half the expected increase. The price index for purchases rose 0.6% versus an expected 7%, supporting the view that inflation peak is being established. Nevertheless, prospects of economic slowdown intensified the demand for long-dated haven assets amid a slump in equities. Every group of 10 currency fell against the traditional havens, dollar and the yen. The sell-off in bonds picked up in the later half of the week after the FOMC minutes revealed that policymakers saw a significant risk that elevated inflation could become entrenched and determined that a 50 to 75% basis point rate hike is appropriate for their next meeting. They also saw the possibility of an even more restrictive stance on monetary policy if price pressures persist. The Fed also made clear that it's ready to prioritize inflation over growth. Stocks roll while commodities got a boost. So let's see what else is moving the market. Well, oil headed for its worst trading week in almost 3 months as recession fears iced the markets, outweighing a fundamentally tight supply market. West Texas Intermediate crude futures dropped as much as 10% to trade below $100. Meanwhile, U.S. job openings dipped slightly to 11.3 million in May from 11.7 million in April, though it remained near a record, indicating a resilient demand for the labor market, even as the economy's prospects grew more uncertain. Consequently, another report also painted the same picture of a tight labor market. Applications for U.S. unemployment insurance rose slightly to a level last seen in January. Initial unemployment claims increased by 4,000 to 235,000 in the week ending July 2nd, 2022. The U.S. trade deficit shrunk in May to the lowest level of the year, reflecting a pickup in exports of goods and services that may help provide a lift to second quarter GDP. The gap narrowed nearly $1 billion to $85.5 billion. In an unfortunate event, a gunman attacked an Independence Day parade in suburban Chicago and fired more than 70 rounds with an AR-15 style gun that killed at least 6 people. More than 30 people were wounded in the attack, and I'm very sorry to report that. Now, let's see what else is happening around the globe. This Tuesday, senior U.S. and Chinese officials discussed U.S. economic sanctions and tariffs amid reports that the Biden administration is close to rolling back some of the trade levies on China imposed by former President Donald Trump. Meanwhile, in the UK, Prime Minister Boris Johnson resigned on Thursday, acknowledging that it was clearly the will of his party that he should go. The wheels have been set in motion for a new UK leader who faces an economy at risk of recession. Euro area inflation surged to a fresh record to 8.6% from a year earlier in June, up from 8.1% in May, and bolstering calls for further interest rate increases being deployed by central banks across the world. So now let's get into how the housing market is doing. Well, according to a report, the rental markets in some of the hottest U.S. cities are showing early signs of cooling down. After surging 11.4% over the past 12 months, the national rent for a one-bedroom apartment rose from 0.5% in June compared to a month earlier, while 2 bedrooms rent fell 2.9%. However, mortgage application activities declined during the week ending July 1st after 3 straight weeks of improvement. MBA's market composite index decreased 5.4% on a seasonally adjusted basis compared to the prior week. The refinance index fell 8%, and the purchase index decreased 4% from the week earlier. Early closure of the businesses in anticipation of long Independence Day weekend might have contributed to the slowdown. All right, let's wrap it up. With Federal Reserve policymakers resolute on getting price growth back to their 2% target, investors continue to assess the hit to the economy from harsh rate hikes. On the flip side, recession fears are also real. Meanwhile, the upcoming earnings session is also going to be crucial for investors to gauge the impact of high prices and weaker consumer sentiment on corporate points. So that's it for the week. If you like this video, please hit the like button below and subscribe. This way you'll never miss an episode and be more informed on the latest updates going on in our world. Please join me next week for more market updates, and I'll keep fighting to slay rates for you. As always, stay updated with our news and our pricing incentives. Happy Friday! Have a great weekend, everyone. Buffy out.